What is good, YouTube? What's up, family? What's up, newcomers? How y'all doing today? How are you doing? hmm Get you something to drink. Let's have a toast today. Cheers. I don't even know why I'm drinking this. It's too sweet. Just never got it. Should have never got it. I should have stayed and drunk the water. Let's get started. How American schools create violence and stupidity.
American students are violent. Oh yeah, and we're also kind of dumb.
Only 37% of high school seniors were academically prepared for college math and reading courses.
Why are so many American adolescents so violent and uneducated? Because our school system is absolute garbage. 44% of American high school students experience school-related violence. 22% of students reported being in a physical fight. In the US, school fights happen all the time, and for petty reasons.
Exactly. But I always tell you, it's not high school, or at least it wasn't my high school. Because in order for that to happen, you gotta be bothering somebody. Nobody's not just gonna do something for no reason. I always tell you, stay in shape, just in case. Just in case.
Hardly anybody is shocked when a fight breaks out.
retreat.
And this violence isn't only between students. It's not rare to hear about fights between students and teachers as well. Some students have assaulted their teachers, leaving them severely injured. There are two big reasons.
Yeah, seeing that video, I really don't know if he was autistic. Remember when the lady stole his DS and he just beat her? It's like, okay, we know you were Karen. You don't have to just stay there. I don't know why would you still just allow him to do that. But yeah, I don't know how much time he got. Yeah, he had to be autistic because them niggas going to rage, you know. Yeah, they do. And there's two types of builds, like the skinny build with they don't care about the hair, or it's always they wearing the jackets, always with jackets, and probably like the DC shoes, or it's like I don't even know what shoes they were.
Reasons why fights are so common in America. The first is because school authorities put very little effort into stopping violence. As punishment for school violence, students are usually suspended for a few days or receive a short detention. Some students even get away with it scot-free. Students don't fear the repercussions of their violence, so they are much more inclined to fight. And another reason why fights are so common in America is because social media glorifies these fights. Students will record and upload these fights onto TikTok and Instagram and get millions of views.
It don't really work. I mean, what's the point of you pulling out the phone? Oh wait, get in character. Oh yeah, Chad. Oh yeah, Chad. Listen, you know all the baddies gonna be there Friday night. You know it's the biggest game, biggest rivalry of the year. You know you're gonna get a couple numbers. Oh wait, hold on, wait. Why is everybody running? Wait. Oh wait, they fighting. Boom. But does it make sense if you can't really record it? And it's always local.
This has led to a culture which treats school fights as entertainment and encourages students to fight for praise and attention. The constant violence in public schools has left many children to fear going to school.
He's terrified to come to school. Every day it's the same thing, all day, from morning till the time they get out, different fights.
But school fights aren't the only source of violence. Bullying is also a massive problem in American schools. 22% of middle school and high school students report being bullied at school, and half of all students have experienced school-related cyberbullying. 160,000 American children miss school every day in fear of bullying. A Yale study found that bully victims are between 2 to 9 times more likely to consider unaliving themselves. In America, it's not uncommon for a child to unalive themselves because of bullying. This bullying isn't just an issue of students, but schools and faculty are also responsible for this.
I mean, yeah, But I just say, listen, I'm just trying to survive because I'm just trying to survive. Um, Work out, get the fear out your head. I did say, listen, obviously we were younger. Intimidation does play a factor, but once you grow up, then you just realize, okay, nobody's not going to try me. If they do, I'm always prepared. Only destroying survival. Were you built to be in a predominant black or white school? Don't know. This is real life, not no TV show. So fix the problem, or it's gonna keep happening. Because what happens in those shows when the kid finally stands up to the bully? He stops. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Can't believe he just hit me. I can't believe that the whole school just watched me get beat up. Exactly. But it's only until you had enough. But that only happens if you keep allowing it. Until you get mad, then you finally end up killing somebody. But to prevent that, just do it as soon as it happens.
Students often face very minimal consequences for bullying.
The kid throwing punches was suspended for 3 days.
Oh man.
25% of teachers see nothing wrong with bullying, and teachers only intervene in 4% of bullying incidents. Here's a video showing a school bus driver encouraging a student to beat up another student.
Beat the hell out of him. Do it!
In Indiana, 10-year-old Sammy Toys was constantly bullied at school. He would come home with bruises, as kids would beat him up at school and on the school bus. He was chased, poked, punched, and stuffed into a
I
garbage.
mean, that's a parent's worst nightmare, but at the same time, listen, I'm pretty sure he had all discipline. Teach them. Teach them. Parents' worst fear. Wow. My kid is getting bullied. What do I do? It's either three things. You're going to put it in him, in his or her mind. Listen, you growing up, you're going to have to fight for yourself, or it's going to keep happening. Number two, homeschool or just move. And even if you do move, what if the cycle just keep repeating? It's sad to say, but you got to be tough, man. Mentally and physically.
Garbage can. Instead of helping him, Sammy's teachers punished him for, quote, disruptive conduct. Sammy's parents contacted the school 20 times about this problem, but the school did nothing. On May 5th of 2024, Sammy unalived himself. His bullies never received a single consequence for their actions. If his school had stepped in, Sammy would still be alive. This kind of tragedy has happened in multiple schools in multiple states across America, all because schools have failed to take action. This is the same school system that breeds school shootings. There's a strong link between school shooters and having experienced bullying. Adolescents who have been bullied at school are 49% more likely to carry.
Yeah, this is weirdo. Yeah, it's always them trying to tell you, man. And then it's like, Judge, are you serious right now? Judge, are you serious? Are you? You're telling me all these years of school and hell that you went through to pass this. You're making millions of dollars a year, and you're trying to take a chance, and you're trying to take it easy on somebody that did this. Nigga, don't take him to no PC. Let him be in the cell with the real dogs and listen.
Guns. Our school systems program violence and hatred into students, so it should be no surprise that school shootings are so common in America. But school districts put very little effort into addressing and fixing the root cause that leads to school shooting incidents. If schools actually stood up against bullying instead of always letting it slide, school shootings would decrease drastically. The American school system creates generations of toxic and violent individuals who have learned that they can get away with hurting others. Violent kids don't suddenly grow out of it one day. They simply become violent adults.
Yeah, and you're gonna be the. That's the truth though. The class clowns, they never make it to past 23, 24. Because they still in that childish mindset, like, okay, you know what? I've been in like 5 fights and I never lost. Until you do that to somebody random. And then you do.
But the only thing worse than a violent generation is a violent and uneducated generation. America spends $857 billion annually on K through 12 schools, which is $16,280 per student. That's more money per student than any other country. But America ranks 26th in math and 10th in science. Only 26% of 8th graders are proficient at grade level math. One large reason for this is a shortage of teachers. Do you want more high quality videos like this one? Then subscribe right now. Alright, back to the video. American teachers are paid less than a typical working American. Along with this, American teachers work an average of 53 hours a week, 7 hours more than the typical working American. This is because teachers have a lot of duties beyond simply teaching, such as grading, lesson planning, and administrative tasks. And to make matters even worse, students are often disrespectful or sometimes even violent.
Exactly. I think that all crime. Because the stress. But it just depends. I can't even say I'm gonna teach preschool because you know that they don't listen. Oh yeah, you know that they don't. I can't even say elementary. They're kids. I might teach seniors because they're like, okay, y'all ready to get out of here, so I might as well.
Towards their teachers. As a result, the teaching industry has become very undesirable for many people, leading to a shortage of teachers. Between February of 2020 and May of 2022, 300,000 public school teachers quit their jobs. That's roughly
because of us. We made the teachers cry, I'm telling you. And then it's always the substitute, or the nice teacher that try to step in. Like, lady or sir, we'll roast you too and make you cry. Stop trying to be the hero, because heroes only die. And that's the truth. Stop trying to be a hero before we roast you. I don't know. We just made the teacher cry and leave. I guess she had, some stress. Nobody was listening. Oh, yeah. Fighting. Then they tried to step in. Like, oh my goodness, what'd y'all do? You know that she's crying in the hallway, right? We didn't care. We was all laughing at it, man. We was
roughly 3% of the workforce.
Wow.
Because of this shortage, teachers are now assigned massive class sizes, which makes it harder for each student to receive the specialized help they need. This also means that school districts have lowered standards for hiring teachers in order to make up for the shortage. The number of underqualified teaching hires increased by 69% from 2022 to 2023. Now, American schools are full of terrible, incompetent teachers who are hurting the country. I remember back in high school, teachers would assign us massive packets of reading and questions. Meanwhile, they would sit in their stupid chairs and use their computers instead of actually teaching the class.
If you would just get up and teach them instead of handing them a freaking packet, yo.
Yeah, he is right, but really nobody's not listening. A teacher's not listening. But he is right. I hope he's doing good for himself. Most likely after this video, he probably dropped out.
Yo, there's kids in here who don't learn like that. They
Look
need
how
to
he's
learn
looking.
face to
Look how
face.
he's-
In America, it's very common to come across classes where students are forced to learn everything by themselves rather than be taught. And no matter how much students and parents complain, school districts almost never do anything about it. Due to the shortage of teachers and the protection from teachers' unions, school districts can't just replace teachers who aren't doing their job. With such terrible teachers, it's only natural that students aren't learning properly. And another big problem is the lack of funding. In America, a big portion of funding for public schools comes from the taxpayer money of the community. This means that schools in wealthy communities are well funded, but schools in low money of the community. This means that schools
Look at these houses. Beautiful houses. The only problem is they don't have no backyard space. That's all. Because, like when I was a delivery driver, that altered my head. I'm like, wait, what are these niggas doing? I'm seeing Lambos, Porsches that got the long driveways with brick, and then their house is big, and they got the stairs, the curved stairs up there. I'm like, wait, that altered my brain. You know what? One day I'm gonna live like that, and one day I am going to live like that. Yeah, because it's not no 9 to 5 that don't do that though.
Schools in
Look at
wealthy
these houses.
communities are well funded, but schools in low income communities are poorly funded. So if you live in America, your quality of education and therefore your prospects of success are largely determined by the community that you live in. This problem can be seen in low income cities like Detroit, where only 3% of 4th graders are proficient in math. Low income students enter high school with literacy skills 5 years behind high income students. Only 14% of low income students graduate college, compared to 60% of high income students. It's quite clear that schools in lower income communities need more funding. America spends $857 billion annually on public education. So where is all of that money going? Well, a big chunk of it is going towards administrative staff. From 2000 to 2019, the number of administrative staff increased by 88%, and the number of principals and assistant principals increased by 37%, while the number of students and teachers only increased by 8%. This shows how a disproportionate share of resources is going into administrative functions rather than directly supporting students and teachers. Maybe if funding was actually allocated correctly, our academic performance wouldn't be so low. Another large problem is that schools have allowed students to be lazy. In America, teenagers between ages of 15 and 17 spend an average of 1 hour a day on homework. Meanwhile, American teenagers spend an average of 8.5 hours on their phone daily. 1 in 5 teenagers report watching YouTube almost constantly, and parents are also responsible for this problem. Only 43% of kids say their parents check their grades more than once a month. As a result, students can laze around and waste their time without being held accountable. Education in America has been in a steady decline for a while now. The government tried to fix these problems by implementing academic standards called the Common Core, but this actually made things even worse. Common Core sets standards for what students should know at each grade level to ensure that students are learning efficiently. And now this all sounds good on paper, but in reality, Common Core has only hurt the education system of America. First off, Common Core operates with a one-size-fits-all approach, which assumes every student learns at the same pace. This system takes power away from teachers and schools, who understand their students best, and instead dictates students' learning based off the government's own ideals. And the biggest flaw with Common Core is the confusing math methods it imposes onto children. You have 8 seconds to solve this math problem. Go.
Oh, 35, right? Wait, hold on. Yeah, it's 35. It gotta be.
Was your answer 35?
Yeah.
Well, you get 0 points. If you didn't use the quantum
Oh, that's right. Okay.
linear
you're talking
dimensional
about
isolation
solving.
method to solve the question, then you didn't do it correctly.
Yeah,
This is the BS that every child in America goes through. You see, Common Core requires students to solve math questions using confusing steps and algorithms. If students don't use these methods, they automatically fail the question, even if their answer is correct. As a kid, I had a very hard time understanding Common Core math, which led to me constantly getting low scores on my tests and classes. It was insanely demoralizing and I felt stupid. Well, it turns out I'm actually really good at math. In high school, where Common Core is less present, learning calculus was very easy for me, and I scored very highly on my exams. I also got a near perfect score on the math segment of my SAT. So how come learning basic algebra was so difficult for me as a kid? Common Core has created a very confusing system of learning, which has led many students to learn less efficiently and hate their classes. Common Core? More like Common L. You might be wondering, affect America? Well, the effects are really bad. Because so many students receive terrible education, America now has the worst educated workforce in the industrialized world. 54% of US adults have a reading proficiency below the 6th grade level, and 21%
I just laugh because I'm just thinking New York education. That's the only because that video.
of US adults are illiterate.
New York
This is
education,
embarrassing,
yep.
considering we are the wealthiest country in the world. Now you know how bad America's school system is. So how do we fix it? Well, it's actually quite simple. Firstly, to address violence and bullying, schools need to hold students more accountable. Currently, students barely receive any punishment for bullying and violence. There should be more severe consequences, such as mandatory community service or being expelled. This seems like a very simple fix, but very little progress has been made. To address the shortage of teachers, America needs to pay teachers more. I mean, we clearly have the money to pay them. Where's that $857 billion going? We also need to remove these teachers who do nothing but hand out packets. The school system is paying them as they contribute to the academic downfall of the country. The problem of low-funded schools is also a pretty simple fix. Public schools need more funding from state and federal governments. Also, Common Core needs to go. There has not been any academic progress attributed to the implementation of Common Core. Common Core is only hurting the academic progress in America. I really made a video about the horrible education systems in many Asian countries, where students study 16 hours a day and get physically punished. These countries have the exact opposite problems that America has. Countries need to find a middle ground between these two extremes and maintain a system which develops hardworking and competent students without sacrificing their mental health for success. The truth is, hardworking countries need to find a middle ground between these two extremes and maintain a system which develops hardworking and competent students without.
Yep. You see the shine? Nah, I can't say that's Michael Jordan. That's like, he literally does look like the Milk Dud or that peanut from Proud Family. Yeah. Yep. Oh my.
Without sacrificing their mental health for success. The truth is, this goal isn't too far-fetched. Take Finland for example. Finland ranks number 7 in education, higher than China and the United States. Yet students in Finland receive very minimal homework, and the majority of primary and secondary school students enjoy their education. This shows how it's definitely possible to create a school system that's both effective and enjoyable. If we take the right steps, we might be able to bring our countries closer to this ideal school system. Hello guys, thank you for watching. I work really hard to edit these videos, so
Very good video. Comment down what grade or like what class or like what grade level was your school? I remember our school was an F, you know. Yep. F school, D school.